This story at its core is about a community that came together online, 8 million people that wanted to have a voice. A lot of them with the commentary about the wealth disparity going on in this country, so many issues, as well as like really letting Wall Street know how they feel. To be able to like share that as a community in a theater is just a joy. To be able to like have that interaction with everybody and walk out of that theater with that uh, concern and outrage that we were trying to garner in this film and experience it as a group is what we could only have hoped for. And there's very few places actually that would put this movie in a theater. And Sony, we were lucky enough to have come on board.
The funny thing is, we started out with MGM. That's the studio that initially bought the book. But then MGM was bought by Amazon, and everything kind of slowed down, and we had to find a new home for the movie. And Teddy's company, Black Bear, came on board, and they financed the film. So this movie was made independent, which is something I feel like is the spirit of the movie anyway. So once the movie came together and we started pre-production, that's when Sony came on board, and they've been just excellent partners. It was all of our intention to try to find a home for this movie that was theatrical. We felt you're right. There are not a lot of movies like this, and quite frankly, there are not enough movies like this. I feel like this is a movie, an underserved audience, and people want to see quality material, and they want to see things that are fun, entertaining, not just feeling like medicine. This movie that should do that.
Every once in a while, an incredible opportunity drops into your lap. Lauren and Rebecca had developed what I thought was an absolutely amazing screenplay. Craig Gillespie, I think, is one of the most exciting directors working today. I, Tanya was one of my favorite movies ever. The mix of experiential, comedic, irreverent, and human, I think, is sort of those are touchstones to his work. And this film was a ride, and it was very clear that it was going to be highly entertaining, incredibly thrilling, really funny, but that underneath it there was real substance to it, real heart, real humanity, and a David and Goliath look at everyday Americans or everyday people, really. Saying, I don't have a place in the system, but you know what? Technology, social media, we've somehow found a way to find each other, and we're going to stick it to the man, and we're not going to stop until we've found a place in this brave new order. So for me, this was not only a no-brainer, but an event theatrically that so many people would respond to, whether or not you're interested in GameStop, whether you're interested in Wall Street. This is a story for everyday people who finally found a voice.
Oh, so Teddy is very modest. He did save this movie, and he believed in it when no one else did. And it's a movie that is edgy. It takes on Wall Street. It takes on billionaires. It talks about how the system is rigged on Wall Street. You know, we know what's happening in Hollywood as well. We are producers, but we're also the writers of the film, and we're proud that our union is fighting the same fight for transparency. And it's also a film that celebrates collective action and what happens when people kind of come together and can change the world. So we're very, very excited that it's going to be in a theater, which is another collective place where people come together.
I mean, this movie is about, it's born of the pandemic era, a time when people were isolated and alone, and looking at the systems in our country and around the world and seeing that they are profoundly broken, seeing the heightened, profound inequalities. In this case in Wall Street, but the same thing is happening right now in Hollywood, and finding that it's very easy to feel despondent and to feel like things are hopeless, but there is hope actually, and this is a story of people coming together, the power of a collective voice, and frankly of holding the line, of sticking to your guns, and even though it's painful, standing by what's right. That is exactly what our union is doing. It's exactly what SAG is doing, and it's what makes the story so triumphant and so inspiring.
And also, what makes it emotional, right? I mean, it's too narrow a lens to look at this film and say it's about people who made money or lost money and look at it in terms of numbers. It's actually about people who wanted to be part of something. And in many ways, there's no price tag on that in our world. We reached out many times and invited him and his family to be part of this process. They're extremely private. And so we wanted to respect that.
I think one of the cool things, there are a lot of cool things about Keith Gill, but typically when you see a populist movement come up online, very often it's co-opted by a classic narcissist, someone who's in it for the fame or for the money. This guy is in it for neither. He is a brilliant, committed person of great conviction and passion, and he watched as he lost $15 million a day and he did not sell. He became a reluctant leader, truly a kind of hero figure, and he didn't cash in and turn it into a big celebrity. He has made a choice to live a very private life, and ultimately, you know, we'd love to get to know him better. We hope he likes the movie, but we absolutely respect that
And we
choice.
did, you know, we drove to Brockton to visit his parents and invite them to watch the film in a very private way or a public way. So we've invited them in, but also wanted to let them live their private lives. We have a long-term fascination with sort of online populist movements, and we wrote a film about politics that actually Seth Rogen was directing and starring in that didn't get made, but we were hoping that Craig would direct that film at some point.
The thing about the thing
He said
about
no.
the thing about populism is that it is one of the most, if not the most important forces shaping our world. It is also one of the least cinematic because all of the passions that drive that movie don't really turn into much more than people sitting at a computer visually. So as we were crafting this screenplay with Aaron's guidance, we knew we wanted the movie to play like a bat out of hell, just to move fast, to feel propulsive and energetic, exactly the way social media is and the way this movement went. And the only guy who could do it is Craig. I mean, no one does energy the way he does.
We also wanted the film to be an ensemble. I mean, this is a movement. It's not just the story of one person. You know, it could have been like the Keith Gill biopic, but it's really about a lot of people. And Craig is, you know, the only director who could handle 12 characters and 12 different settings.
And who can find the depth and humanity in characters even when they don't have a huge amount of screen time. We didn't have a ton of time with each member of our ensemble, and Craig managed to pull out really profound performances from all of them.
And do it in 31 days.
I can't even interrupt this. You guys are all very kind.
He did not cut for
Enjoy,
31 days.
enjoy it while it lasts, Gillespie.
You guys are filming, right?
Craig came in and made that great point that we needed a big ending to this film.
Yeah, I mean, we're hearing a lot of comparisons that we're happy to hear because we really admire these great films of the finance world like The Big Short, but also a big inspiration for us, in addition to the films of Capra, which people have pointed to in terms of their populist message, but our classic sports movies. I mean, this is about a ragtag band of outsiders who came together behind a charismatic leader, and you know, it climaxes in a championship game. And we really did that with Craig. We built that third act together under his direction of bringing our characters all together for one great face-off.
It was, I just, ironically, we were working on another script together. I love working with these guys, Rebecca and Lauren. It's like they do such a beautiful job of like bringing humanity and creating these stories that can be very complicated on the surface and layering them in a way that's propulsive as well. Like we were working on a film that was almost about to go. So daily seeing each other and like really in the grind of that. And we kept talking about this project because I knew they were writing it. I had lived it with my son going through it. So I was like very interested in it. But we were 2 months out from shooting something. It suddenly imploded. The next day, the script turns
We
up.
laugh now.
You don't know what you want is the lesson.
And I got to read it, and it was everything I could have hoped for. It's like the energy in it, the complicated storylines, all like crafted together. It just meshed beautifully. And really, the only thing that we were missing was that congressional hearing. But of course, the ripple effect of putting that in, you have to have scenes that build to that. But what I love, like, I like to work fast and instinctively, and these guys are very much like that. So it's like I can turn to them, and in that very short prep that we had, you know, working with Paul, it's like we would talk about like what are these scenes going to be? What do we need here? And I'd call them and be like, okay, we need a scene with the family. We need a scene when they tell the family there's 22 million. We need a scene when he gets subpoenaed. We need a scene when he's lost $30 million. And it's like within 2 days they'd be turning it around and sending it back. And that kind of energy and that sort of creativity that we can spar with each other is something I've never had before.